Heritage by definition would mean your heritage. And I think that's something I struggled with for a long time as a colored person. You know, growing up, we were always said, you heard the narrative that, you know, colored people do not have a tradition. They don't have those things because they're so mixed.
Heritage Day to me is not braai and boerewors and Daisy Boere se Heritage Day. Daisy my Heritage Day nie. People say that colored mense hulle het heritage. Ons het te kom vandaan. Nou en ek sê altyd daai ek weet wie ek is. Who am I, my identity?
Man, Heritage Day is very, very important. I will be going to Solderwa. I will be going to Solderwa because Solderwa has got a heritage society.
To me, Heritage Day is a personal thing. I can't tell you how you should feel. You cannot tell me how I really feel. It's very deep, it's very personal.
The Group Areas Act was a law that was introduced by the then apartheid government in 1950, and the aim was to separate blacks from white people. So you would find a lot of the white people were moved to the urban areas and the majority black were moved into areas such as Cape Flats and townships. People were taken from places like District 6, I think that is the one that we hear a lot about, but people were also moved from Claremont, Harfield and other areas that was then becoming like more associated or given to white people.
So ons kom van die, kyk ek weet nou is die market building, né, maar my ma het gesê hulle kom van die market building af, you know. So that was them. I know my mommy had a limp from that side, and she always used to tell how they maneuvered the hills and hevels and hoe hulle daai gemaneuver. And so my mommy and my daddy came from the market building. They were from the first tenants here in Bridgetown 69 years ago.
I can tell you, growing up in your Solderwa was wonderful. Respectful. People respected each other. We had Christian neighbors across the road next door to us.
But I remember the stories. I remember the stories of them telling how they lived there, the unity, before they were displaced, hoe al die colors saamgebly het, all the nationalities, al die religions, you know. And that's why I mean, kyk jy ons as colored mense, jy het 'n Muslim auntie en jy het ons almal is 'n mengelmoes van mense hier in die Kaap. Ons kom vandaan is baie wide and very spread. I know when it's Labaran, we go to the Labaran, to the Muslim aunties, and Christmas, I come over Christmas summit. Also, you know, so it was about that. If I look at culturally, man, how we used to be tolerant of each other's religious cultures and those things.
Okay, growing up in District 6 as a kid, it's wonderful memories. I've learned a lot, I've done a lot, seen a lot, and to me, District 6 is like, it was a library. It had everything. There was so much respect. We had to greet everybody, younger or older. We had to greet, and everybody was auntie and uncle. Yeah, with the forced removal, sadly, we stayed until the end in Constitution Street, very, very close to Tafelberg Hotel. Families moved out to, you know, around at the back of the Cape Flats, like Bonteheuwel, Montana, all these places.
Look, I wasn't around when the Group Areas Act was implemented, but I cannot imagine, you know, being forcefully removed from your home, how that impacted your psyche. And then if you look at it or analyze it a little bit more, colored and black people, they were already oppressed way before the Group Areas Act. This just reinforced it to reinforce the fact that they were lower class citizens. So that sort of rejection that, you know, my dad and people that were forcefully removed out of their homes, what they must have felt and gone through, one can never imagine that. But I think what would have happened is if I was forced to live in a particular area, I would have had like a negative or sort of like an abusive attitude towards the environment that I'm living in. I wouldn't have loved it. I wouldn't have liked it. So I think there were a lot of issues even before the Group Areas Act came in where people were just oppressed. And the Group Areas Act sort of like legalized it. this is where we are living now, and we must find ways of making home. We must talk about the good stories. Yes, there are issues such as crime and poverty. We're never going to get away from that, but we need to start changing the narrative about where we're living in and create some sort of positivity around it.
If I look at other areas, I know that we have good leaders in our communities. We have good neighborhood watch. We literally, you can watch your Bridgetown Community Watch chat, and you can say, and we're still relatively safe, Shazan. We know how much happens on the Cape Flats, you know.
In Bridgetown, 45 years. Prior to that, I lived with my husband and his family in Silvertown, but 45 years here in Bridgetown. It's very well developed. I wouldn't swap this area of Bridgetown for anything else. The neighbors, awesome. My kids grew up here, played in the sand, and it adds a lot to my days now. We're very safe. What else can I say? Compared to District 6, it is different. It's very, very different. But I got used to the change from District 6 to here, and I just made the best of my life here.
You know, growing up, we were always said, you heard the narrative that, you know, colored people do not have a tradition. They don't have those things because they're so mixed. But I think that's a lie. And I mean, it further entrenched the displacement of the community the people that were living in this community, and especially colored people. But that is a lie. And obviously, as I was like becoming more aware, I learned that the history of the colored people here in Cape Town. So for me, I do celebrate Heritage Day now, and I would see myself as Indigenous to South Africa, because irrespective of whether I'm mixed between isiXhosa or the Dutch or the slaves, I have the blood of First Nation running through my veins, and that makes me Indigenous. So I will be celebrating my mixed heritage on Heritage Day.